Sparks Steakhouse Coup. December 16th, 1985, Midtown Manhattan. A black Lincoln slows outside Sparks Steakhouse, tailored coat, no body armor, steps into the cold. Two men in trench coats cut across the sidewalk. 10 seconds. That's all it takes for a dynasty to end. Behind the glass and Christmas lights lives a longer story. The old boss banned drug dealing. The young captains didn't. Wiretaps stacked up. Indictments landed. Whispers said Castellano might shuffle the deck to save himself. Maybe even sideline John Gotti's crew, the one making real money on heroin. On the curb, muzzles flash. Castellano goes down beside his driver, Thomas Bilotti. No warning, no speeches, just a public verdict on 46th Street. The city hears the shots. The underworld hears the message. Hours later, Gotti cruises past the scene. Radio low, sirens high. Within days, the Gambinos pivot. Old guard loyalists quiet. New leadership loud. Cause of death, a boardroom coup done outdoors. Fear of prison, rivers of drug cash, and a boss who couldn't read the room anymore. The Barber Chair Hit. Manhattan, October 25th, 1957. Park Sheraton Hotel. Steam on the mirrors. Towels stacked. Scissors ticking like a metronome. Albert Anastasia, the Lord High Executioner, leans back for a routine shave. No bodyguard, no warning. Two men slip through the doorway like they own the hallway. Coats up, hats down. The room goes silent, except for the razor rinsing in a glass. Shots snap. Legends saying he lunges at his own reflection, trying to fight the phantom in the glass. This wasn't random. Anastasia had become a problem, volatile, headline-friendly, and expensive. He greenlit killings without the commission. He scared business, not just enemies. Carlo Gambino wanted the chair. Vito Genovese wanted a calmer landscape. Within weeks, the underworld reorganizes. Gambino ascends. Crews fall in line. Cause of death? A leadership reset. Commission-blessed, profit-driven, executed in a barbershop where silence was supposed to be the service. Beverly Hills. Flamingo Fallout. Beverly Hills, June 20th, 1947. A quiet night on North Linden Drive. Bugsy Siegel sits by the front window of Virginia Hill's place. Jacket off, pages open. He sold the world a desert miracle. The Flamingo. Pink lights, Hollywood glamour, money forever. But the books told a different story. Rewind. Cost overruns, delays, a flop opening. Cash bleeding into sand. Investors back east, hard men with harder ledgers, stop believing his charm. Whispers of skimming, rage over bills, and a project that grew faster than its protection. 10:45 p.m. A rifle from the garden. Glass bursts. A short, merciless burst. And the visionary of the strip is suddenly history. No courtroom ever pinned the trigger on one name. Theories point to mob investors cleaning up a balance sheet the old-fashioned way. By morning, the Flamingo changes hands. Receipts rise. The dream survives without its dreamer. Cause of death? Money and momentum. Neon keeps humming. Vegas learns the lesson. Visions are expensive, and the street collects with interest. Cigar in the Courtyard. Brooklyn, July 12th, 1979. Lunch rush ticking like a clock. Joe and Mary's restaurant. Sunlit courtyard. Red-white umbrellas. Carmine Galante, hard hat of the Bonanos, sits down with a grin and a fat cigar. He's been running the heroin pipeline like it's his private railroad, keeping the best cars for himself. Backroom signals flip. The commission is tired of delays, fines, and Galante's freight train ego. Gambino allies nod. Genovese muscle nods. Inside the Bonanos, Sicilian Zips feels shorted on the Pizza Connection profits. Green light granted. 12:45. Gate opens. Masked shooters roll through the patio like a two-car express. Shotguns and pistols, quick stops, no announcements. Chairs skid. Plates rattle. Galante hits the tile. The cigar lands near him, still sending up a thin ribbon of smoke. Aftermath is immediate. The neighborhood hears the thunder. The five families hear the timetable reset. Rivals consolidate. Business quiets. And the heroin pipeline keeps moving, just under new conductors. Hazelton Payback. October 30th, 2018. USP Hazelton, West Virginia. New arrival. Old name, James Whitey Bulger. Boston's ghost. 89. Wheelchair creaking down a concrete hall. He's been in the system for years, shuffled for safety. Legend trailing him like paperwork. Rewind. South Boston boss who played both sides. Terror on the street, tips to the FBI. Rivals erased, while case files looked the other way. Now he's back in general population. Word outruns the escort. In prison culture, some debts don't expire. Informant equals target. Cameras and corridors can't change the math. Hazelton wakes to whispers, then headlines. The most infamous gangster of Boston is dead within hours of transfer. No courtroom, no appeal. Just the Yard's version of justice. Cause of death? Vengeance. Payback for a lifetime of cooperation. And enemies who never forgot. In the underworld and behind the wire, the same rule holds. If you built your empire on secrets, one day the secrets collect. Valentine's Day on Clark Street. Chicago, February 14th, 1929. Cold morning, Clark Street warehouse. Bugs Moran's crew thinks it's a police raid. Uniforms, badges, hands to the wall. 7 men line up. The room smells like motor oil and winter coats. Then the uniforms step back, and the officers become executioners with Thompson guns. Minutes later, the neighborhood hears only tires and sirens. Inside, one man is still breathing. Frank Gusenberg, bleeding, jaw set. Detectives lean in. Who shot you? He answers the way gangsters are taught. Nobody shot me. He dies hours later. Moran never shows. He saw the cars and walked away. Theories harden. Al Capone is in Florida, but his lieutenants aren't. Jack Machine Gun McGurn wants the beer routes, the garages, the muscle memory of a city pouring money into prohibition bottles. The fake cop setup wasn't style. It was strategy. Disarm the targets, erase witnesses, send a headline. Fallout. Chicago's romance with gangsters cools. The feds heat up. Moran's outfit limps. Capone's empire grows louder, then shorter. The Medellín Rooftop. Medellín, December 2nd, 1993. A phone call pings a trace in a quiet barrio. Pablo Escobar hears it too late. Boots on stairwells, radios barking. He bolts through a second-floor window, red tile roofs stretching like stepping stones. The search block floods the block. A nation's most wanted is suddenly one address away. Rewind the pressure. Car bombs, judges and candidates murdered. A prison he built and then walked out of. Colombia answers with a rebuilt manhunt. U.S. surveillance circling overhead. And Los Pepes, paramilitary enemies born from cartel victims, shadowing the hunt with their own revenge list. Safe houses shrink, allies flip. The fortune can't buy silence anymore. On the rooftop, gunfire cracks. Escobar stumbles, returns fire, runs again. Seconds, not minutes. Whether the final shot is police or his own, the story ends on those tiles. Sneakers still on, radios calling, Tenemos al objetivo. Medellín exhales for the first time in years. Motorcycle? At the butcher shop. Medellín, September 3rd, 2012. Late afternoon heat. A small butcher shop on a quiet street. Griselda Blanco, the godmother of Miami's cocaine wars, steps to the curb with a paper-wrapped cut in her hands. A motorcycle drifts past, doubles back. Rider steady, passenger calm. One job, one shot. Then the throttle pulls them into traffic and out of the frame. Rewind the ledger. 1970s and 80s. Miami turns into a war map. Blanco floods routes, invents rules no one wants. Shoot first, settle later. She popularizes the two-up motorbike hit, leaves rivals counting enemies they can't see. Arrests, prison, deportation. Years pass. She comes home older, quieter, believing the city forgot. The city didn't. Colombia has a new order. Paramilitaries demobilized. Cartels splintered. Scores carried forward by nephews, widows, and partners who outlived the headlines. Blanco still owed interest on an era. Back at the butcher shop, there's no speech and no chase. Just a method she helped create. Return to sender. The crowd stares. The bike is gone. The case stays cloudy. Enrique Kiki Camarena. Guadalajara, February 1985. Lunch hour sun. DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena steps out from the consulate and never makes it back. A surveillance car tails him. A team moves. In seconds, he disappears into a city where phones are tapped and doors answer to money. Rewind. Months of work burned cartel fields the size of towns. Raids seized labs, cash, protection ledgers. Camarena mapped the Guadalajara cartel's network, growers, financiers, the officials who looked away. Days pass. Washington calls. Mexico denies, then scrambles. Rumors of captivity turn to certainty. When his body is found, the mission changes from rescue to reckoning. Operation Leyenda launches, the first major binational manhunt of its kind. Pressure lands on traffickers, fixers, even uniforms with badges and side deals. Arrests follow. Exiles follow. Why did they do it? To punish, to scare off informants, to freeze investigations. But the message backfires. backfires. Camarena's name becomes a rallying point. Laws harden. Cooperation deepens. Cause of death? Retaliation meant to buy time. Answered by a hunt that rewrote the playbook.
Subscribe for more and support my small channel. Share your ideas for the next video in the comments.